Direct from Montreal, Canada, this is Rock Talk with Mitch LaFon. Rock Talk with Mitch LaFon.
Welcome to this episode of Rock Talk with Mitch LaFon. Joining me from the band Krokus, it is lead singer Marc. We discussed the band's Adios Amigos Farewell Tour, which they have said on posters, we will not be back. So what differentiates this farewell tour from other farewell tours that are really not really farewell tours? They're more like, all right, we'll see you in a few years, bye for now tours. But we'll see. This one, they seem very convincing about not wanting to come back, so we will discuss that with Marc. Also, we will find out why does the band not play some of their biggest hits. Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of songs out there that made them famous and made them, popular in the United States, and they don't play them. And Marc has a very sensible explanation as to why they are skipping some of their best-known songs on tour and have been for the last, decade or more. We also dig into their Netflix movie. That's right. Krokus will be the feature of a Netflix movie. Now, I personally am wondering, is it going to be sort of just Netflix Switzerland, or is it going to be available globally? I personally hope that it's available globally. I'd like to hear read whatever the story of Krokus, and hopefully Netflix will deliver for that to a global audience. Also, in December 17th, they did their bye-bye farewell to Europe, but mostly Switzerland. They played their final show in that territory. They will be coming to North America in 2020 for a whole bunch of new shows, which will be the final shows. So far, nothing near me. No Montreal, no Toronto, no Ottawa. Hopefully that'll change. We need more Krokus, not less. But at that final show in Switzerland, Sony Music of Switzerland gave the band an award for 15 million records sold. And that's about 15 million records sold since about 1980. Now, I posted that on my socials, and a lot of fans wrote in and said, no, those are 15 platinum albums for Switzerland. That's only about 300,000 copies sold. Platinum in different territories means different things, and in Switzerland it means X amount, and therefore it's not 15 million, you're wrong. Well, I'm not wrong. It is 15 million albums sold worldwide since the 1980s. Now, I've always found that kind of interesting because when you talk about bands like Status Quo, Thunder, Gotthard, Pink Cream 69, Mustache, Backyard Babies, there's a whole bunch of bands. I'm trying to think of one. Pretty Maids. That's the one I'm trying to think of, Pretty Maids. These bands have a lot of success in Europe, and for all those bands, the success never translated to North America, with the exception of Krokus, who of course had some success here. But when you look at Status Quo and at Thunder and even a band like Europe, for crying out loud, which had a bump here in the 80s, but really hasn't been a thing for a while. Anyway, I find that sometimes North American fans have this tendency to believe that if they ain't famous here, they ain't famous anywhere. And that's not true. Case in point for me is Status Quo. I mean, Status Quo opens up Live Aid. They do a whole bunch of big arena shows in the UK. And they come here, they probably couldn't fill a bar, which is strange, right? Same thing with Doro Pesch, by the way. I mean, she did a show not too long ago where she did an arena in Germany, and you come to North America and they're doing the club circuit. Thunder, one of my favorite bands ever, regularly do shows in the UK to audiences of 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 7,000. They just did their Christmas show run that they do traditionally every year, and the places were packed. You go online, go to Thunder Online or whatever, go see the pictures. It's packed. 3, 4, 5, 6,000 people packed. You can't even get Thunder to come over to North America because I doubt they could fill my living room here, which is strange because their music is as accessible and as melodic and as hard rockin' as anything Bon Jovi's ever done or Def Leppard's ever done or any of these bands that we like, any of these melodic rock bands that we like. Can't get arrested here. Anyway, I just found that quite interesting that when I posted that picture about Krokus and I wrote down, hey, Switzerland, Sony Switzerland gave them these awards for 15 million copies sold. People started going, no, you got it wrong. 15 times platinum is not the... It's like, well, yeah, but it is. That's what the award was for. It was for 15 million sold. It wasn't for 15 times platinum anything. It was for 15 million sold. So I wasn't wrong. And it's just, anyway, I just find that fascinating that, you saw like the Three Monkeys, right? Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. So if those bands are in North America, it's, see no thunder, hear no thunder, speak not of thunder, or in this case, I guess, Krokus, see no Krokus, speak no Krokus, hear no Krokus, therefore they do not exist. And I love North America. I'm from North America. I'm from Montreal, but there is an other world out there. There are other territories who happen to like music and who happen to like music that we don't necessarily like in North America. So anyway, just because, let us move on. Let us get to our guest today. And in fact, let's just do the quick intro. From the band Krokus, we have a singer, Marc, and his last name really depends on where you live, right? I think if it's in Italy, it's Storace. And if you're in Quebec, it's Storace. And if you're in North America, it's Storace. Either way, here he is, Marc. We are speaking with Marc Storace, or Marc Storace, as we say here in Quebec, or for Americans, Marc Storace, from the band Krokus. Bonjour, Marc. How are you?
I'm fine.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting how, depending on where you live, people have a different way of saying it. But I think the most important thing, as long as they say Marc from Krokus, that's all that matters. So
exactly.
So let us get into Krokus, because you're doing this farewell tour where you're saying we're done and we're out of here, and help me with the pronunciation. But you played the Hallenstation, I think it is.
Stadion with a D.
Stadion?
Stadium. It's like stadium. Stadium.
Yeah.
Stadion.
And it's in Switzerland, and it was sold out, and there were some pictures on the internet of this incredible crowd, and the capacity of the building's 15,000, and it was listed as sold out. And here in Canada and North America, I put the pictures on my socials, and people went, "Oh, great, who are they opening for?" And I went, no, they're not opening for anybody. That's their crowd. And then the next day, I put these platinum awards, and it said for 15 million albums sold, And fans were like, no, Mitch.
Worldwide.
But folks from America were like, no, Mitch. A platinum album in Switzerland is only X amount, so that's only 300,000. It's not 15 million. You got it wrong. And it's like, no, I don't have it wrong. So I want to get to that first, the perceptions, because, a lot of bands that aren't very, we don't think about a lot in the States, like Thunder and Status Quo and stuff, have these incredible careers, and you've had an incredible career. So talk to me about that. So talk to me about sort of that double career where in Europe and in Japan and in other markets, you are as big as any other band. And then there's sort of a frustration with North America. Talk to me a little bit about having that incredible success in Switzerland and what it meant to you to have 15,000 fans come and say, merci, bonsoir, thank you for all the memories.
Well, it felt fantastic, and I really had to fight back to hold my emotions so that I wouldn't get a frog in my throat during the gig, because it interferes with my singing. So I gave my best, and so did we all, and the crowd enjoyed it. It was great. And after the first encore, like this, I had a rush of thoughts, like, I don't know, I thought about everything like in seconds. And then my heart opened up and my tears just whoosh. So I had a few moments to myself behind the back line, having a little cry. It's like always good to have a little cry every now and then if you have pent up emotions, and that's what I had. So, and then we did bedside radio, and I could see, even before me, that there were other folks in the crowd who were wiping the tears away, and it was a big thing because we mean a lot to Switzerland, being the only rock band that made it for so long and also so big internationally. And as I said before, the 15 platinum.
Yeah, million. 15 million sold.
Yeah, but that's not just for Switzerland. It's worldwide and over a long period of time. We're not up there with Led Zeppelin, Def Leppard, White Snakes, and the real big guys. But we had a modest success, and we're happy about it. We're certainly proud, and they're proud of us here, and that's what matters. And bottom line is we're still together, and we only had one fatal casualty along the way, and okay, we had about 30 band members coming in and out. Krokus has been like a revolving door, if you like, but in the end, we came together as we had the big reunion of the originals since I had joined the band, taking us back to the big 8 albums, and that's the big box that we just released as well, which omits a few other albums where some people are not on it, So it's been a nice thing, and it's like a week ago today, and I'm still a little bit emotional about it, and it's like the afterglow after having had a good night. You know what I mean? It's great. It's really great, and at the same time, there's this melancholic feeling about it being over here in Europe. I can't believe it. I still can't believe it. It's hard to accept.
Yeah, well, okay, so let me ask you about that, because, when fans hear Farewell Tour and they think of The Who and they think of Kiss and they think of the Scorpions and now Motley Crue, and I could go on forever, right?
Yeah.
And you think of, and we could do this list for another 10 minutes. They go, oh, okay, Krokus is on a farewell tour. They'll be back in 3 years.
Obviously.
Well, obviously. So why make that decision to announce a farewell tour? Why not just say goodbye and then sit around and then maybe in 5 years from now saying, hey, you know what? That was it. We were done. Or just say, hey, you know what? Let's go home for 3 years and think about it, and maybe we'll do something in 2023. Why announce a farewell, and how locked in stone is it? How written in stone is it? Or are you the Scorpions?
Well, no, we're not the Scorpions. I think everyone lives in his own dimension, if you like. And in our dimension, the way we reason and think over here, in the Krokus family is, we look at Fernando, okay? He's one of the founder members, and he's had cancer. He recovered that, and he had open heart surgery a few years back, and he recovered and got stronger. And, sometimes, we realize, that the memory is not as quick as it used to be, and then there's been a lot of deaths, in in the music scene, in the rock scene. People are leaving us every year, and then this thing with Malcolm Young, having his what did he have? Senility, some kind of
dementia, I believe.
Demence, yeah, exactly. So this is all, and we're kind of getting close. I just turned 68 last October. I'm the oldest guy in the band, and I don't really feel it, myself, except, a bit of arthritis, my sciatic nerve, because I had fallen off stage in 1982 on a tour with Ted Nugent, and that still hurts. And, then there's the usual stuff like a bit of arthritis in the fingers and stuff. So we start to feel like, hey, we're really rocking now. We really are. Krokus is really on top because we've got our shit together with the music, with the arrangements. We threw out everything that doesn't work on stage. We in Swiss we call it fil de fond, the extra embroidery and shit like that. Yeah, we'll get straight to the point and do it. And okay, we don't run around on stage like we used to, For example, myself, I like to save my energy for my lungs, keep the air in my lungs because I needed to belt out those high notes, And thank God, and I'm touching my wooden table as I say it, I can still hit the high notes, long stick goes boom is long stick goes boom is long stick goes boom. It's like journalists called it the song that AC/DC never wrote. And for us, it's like been the biggest, the best opener for every concert that we've played since ages. And it's up there, vocally. And so I have to be able to deliver that. And, and it's, with the guitar players, it's like, can I play what I think? Is the connectivity between my brain and my fingers that fast? Are my fingers that fast? What about the little, all this shit you start being confronted with, and then we have our families to deal with, and all this other stuff, like when we're not on tour or when we're not rehearsing together. We're not always together, everyone has his own home. And so when we come together, it's fun, and we get on stage and we kick ass and we enjoy it, we have the after show party. And then one day, Chris and Fernando on the tour bus, one morning, I made my coffee and I went sit out front and watch the view, and they said, "Hey, Mark, we just decided something," and they said, "We want to call it quits, at the end of this year." This was at the beginning of this year, and so I really had to swallow deep, and I walked away and not in a real happy mood, and but it's really happened, It wasn't my initial decision. And Chris and Fernando kind of started the whole thing going, they were the ones who in the beginning were really influenced by AC/DC. And that's when they decided they needed to have me in the band because Chris was singing before me. And they thought, well, he's got the pipes and can hit those notes. And that's the kind of music we want to go for, So, as I said, they put this thing on its feet really the way it is today, and so it's really their decision, and I have to respect that, So, but I'm gonna carry on. I'm gonna carry on,
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask you. You're not walking away then from the business. You're going to have what, a new band or Mark solo albums, or How do you see yourself moving forward?
Well, I've always had parallel to Krokus. I've always had things going on. It's
Yes.
like this year I go on tour with This Is Rock. This is like a big circus tent, and it's not a stadium; it's a circus tent. But I like the musicians there. It used to be called Rock Circus, and I did 3 tours with them, and it was fun. It's better than just, staying at home watching TV on the sofa, because that's the way you're going to lose your voice, and get rusty and lose that top octave. That's very important in hard rock, So I've got that going. I've got this band I formed with a few other guys just for one gig we're doing, which is a big charity gig called Love Ride, where we have about 800 motorbikes rolling up, and all these people coming and in support for people in wheelchairs, with whatever puts people in wheelchairs, So that's another thing we're writing. We're going to write 5 songs and do the gig and add some covers and just have some fun, and all the money's going to charity. So that's something else. And then I took part, like recently I went to Gran Canaria, the Canary Islands out on the Atlantic, and took part in a show called Sing Mein Song, which means sing my song. It sounds almost like that in German, sing my song. And this is a thing, it's a TV program that's been going in Germany since a few years, and it's very big, very successful. People love the way it's made up. It's too complicated to explain now, but we did the Swiss version. We did 8 parts of the series. It's the first series, and that's going to be shown on the 2nd of February on
2020. Now,
sorry,
it's going to be shown in February.
For my glasses.
February of 2020. Will there be a reunion with China, the other great Swiss band? China.
I don't know. I worked with the guitar player of China since 25 years. I had joined China, and we did the Marc Storace and China tour because I respected the guys, and I kind of felt sorry for them that they had the reason of their not being so successful. And in fact, they disbanded now, is because they had a new singer with every new album. I mean, that's not very good for your identity, because for most people out there, the identity of the band is the singer's voice. They can recognize it more than they can recognize
100%.
a guitar.
Listen, you know Steven Tyler more than you know the songs. It's Dave Mustaine or Lou Gramm, right? I mean, it's just the way it is, and it's hard to change a singer. Now, you did, of course, that great live album with them called Alive in 2000, and if fans haven't checked out Alive, Marc Storace and China from 2000, it was really, I think it was recorded in the 90s but released a few years later. You got to go check it out. It's just a great, fun live album. And of course, you cover Highway Star on it, so you can't go wrong when you're covering Deep Purple.
We covered that. Yeah, exactly. No. As I said, I carried on being friends with Claudio, the guitar player, and Freddie as well, the other guitar player, who now plays with Gotthard, the other. Yeah,
the great Gotthard. Yeah. There are 2 European bands that I love more than anything. One is Gotthard and the other is Thunder. I am a diehard of both. Steve Lee was the greatest vocalist that North America has never heard of. He was an angel, and his death was Oh,
Totally,
it crushing, totally crushing. And how he died was completely, anyway.
Ooh,
Yeah, I mean,
very, very weird. That was really weird.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing.
It
Yeah.
was. At this point, we took a listen to China's version of Highway Star with him. I've unfortunately had to cut it out, but let's get back to Marc Storace talking about AC/DC. All right, so but let me ask you about this here. So, since we're talking about singers and voices, you have been connected, and you just mentioned AC/DC, with Long Stick.
Yeah.
You've been connected with the band twice. After the passing of Bon Scott, there was, hey, Mark's going to do it. And then when Bryan left recently, before Axl Rose came in, hey, Mark's going to do it. How much of that is true? How much of that is fantasy? How much of that is somewhere in between where you got a call, but it really wasn't more than a call? Like, what's real?
Well,
Let's separate fact from fantasy.
Look, I'll be honest. I never got a call from AC/DC directly. When Bon Scott died, I was so into Krokus. It was like a new love affair. I was totally into Krokus, and it would have taken something really big, like Led Zeppelin maybe, to make me make a move, because I thought, well, AC/DC just lost their singer. Okay, well, bad luck, sorry. It's a pity, and rest in peace, Bon. But we're on a rise here. We're on a good. We're on the ball, and we had just. When I was asked the question, it was by the same guy who owns the production company, who also did AC/DC's productions, so it was like through the grapevine, and so I believed what he was saying. He said, "Would you like to audition? I can arrange that." And so I said, "Hey, Steve, this is I'm really not interested. I'm so happy here with Krokus, and this is like playing dice, tumbling dice, taking a risk, no gain. I think Krokus is going to go places, and we actually did go places. But
well,
look,
if I can contextualize it a little bit, this is 1980, and AC/DC is not AC/DC of 2020 or of 2019. They were still a band very much on the rise, trying to make a thing. You had Metal Rendezvous, which had been 4 times platinum, at least in Switzerland.
Yeah.
If you look at it objectively in whatever February, May, or June of 1980, you were the bigger band. You were the one that had a little more heat connected to you. Right?
But
so.
When you look at where I come from vocally, and if you look at my vocal spectrum, it's like AC/DC would have, the way I see AC/DC is locked into one style, and they do it the best. They're the best at what they do. But with Krokus, I had more leeway, more to the left, more to the right, and more broader spectrum of using my voice, which for me is more fun, I cover AC/DC songs till this day. I really enjoy them, TNT, Highway to Hell, the most popular songs, obviously. And a couple of days ago, I was singing Big Balls. We've got big balls. They've got big balls, but we've got the biggest balls of them all. Really fun music. I love that stuff, and the lyrics that Bon wrote and everything. And then came Robert John Mutt Lange and came, Back in Black. Wow, in the beginning, I didn't really like Brian Johnson's voice, because in the meantime, I had become a Bon Scott fan, because as time went by, I listened more into AC/DC and today I wouldn't try to cover a Brian Johnson song because it's really not good for my voice, because that man can sing so high. It's amazing what a voice he has. He's like, it's like, I don't know what it's made of steel. And I prefer the bluesier Bon Scott approach, and I come from that same thing, I have the blues, and when I get too old to do the hard rock and lose that top octave, then I can still go on, singing the blues and stuff. I can write about the depressing, melancholic parts of my life, the heavy tragedies I went through, and sing about them. But it's not the time yet, I feel I've still got a long way to go, and I don't really know yet what I'm going to put my finger on. But right now there are offers coming in by songwriters and managements and bands and stuff, and it's almost too much, because I'm not finished with Krokus yet. We still we owe it to our fans over the big pond, which is Canada and the USA, and we're doing one big festival in Mexico. We owe it to them to come over and say goodbye, and thank you for your support. That really, it was amazing. I'll never forget. And the big tour we did with Def Leppard, for example, Gary Moore opening, God rest his soul, and we as special guest, and Def Leppard closing, and Michael Jackson at #1 in the charts, with Beat It and all this stuff that was happening there. Was so exciting, I get excited now again when I think about it. And in the meantime, we made peace with Def Leppard, because we hadn't finished on good terms because of our manager, who was a little bit too full of temperament, and he and their manager, they ended up in a fist fight. Oh boy.
Was that with Malvin? Was it Malvin Mortimer that he that he was having that fight with?
No. What was his name? Oh shit! Now that you put me on the spot, I forget.
But all right, let me move on from this, because I've got a million questions, and we're already at 25.
Yeah, go ahead. I've got time.
We're already at 25 minutes.
No,
as long. Yeah, I know. We tried to connect on Skype and we couldn't do it. But yesterday I spoke to Doro Pesh, and you did that movie Anuk that she was also in. You also did something I believe it was called Handyman. Where not only did you star in the movies, but you also provided some of the music. Is that where you might see your life going? Not necessarily in an acting way, though that would be great, but do you see yourself maybe just sort of sitting at home and contributing to movie soundtracks and just sort of do some sort of studio work rather than being out on the stage?
Well, everything's possible, and speaking about acting, I took part because I wanted to act. I wanted to act a little bit longer. So I accepted to join this rock opera, and it was called Test. And we only did about 10 shows, and I got compliments from left and right, and my manager and, people close to me and stuff, they were amazed that, and I was like, wow. I remembered all the text, and I hit the notes, and I was in the right place at the right time, because it's amazing when you're live in a theater acting, and there's no cuts. There's no overdubs, nothing. It's all live. The band is there live, the backing vocalists, the orchestra, everything's happening live. And you rehearsed for over a year. I had to learn everything by heart. It was so intense, the whole thing. And there was times where I got scared, and I thought, oh shit, can I do this really? Until the last moment backstage, and then I saw one actor after the other, one actress after the other, just with tears in their eyes because they were so scared shitless, and so was I. But we pulled it off, and it's amazing. I've got it on video, and actually Rogers and Hammerstein are looking at this opera in the meantime, and I wonder what's going to happen with it.
But okay, I want to ask you this. Back to the interview and back to Sirius. A fan sent this in, and I'm going to read it from the fan. His name is Johnny L, and on Twitter he goes by @LickItUp, which obviously is a reference to Kiss, which means that obviously Johnny is a fantastic human being. But he says, ask Mark. He says, can you please ask Mark the following question? Why does the band refuse to play their big U.S. hits live, such as Ballroom Blitz, Midnight Maniac, Our Love, School's Out, etc.? So, okay, he's got a fair point. When you're in a band, you want to have that recognizable hit. You want to have Pour Some Sugar on Me. You want to have Rock and Roll All Night. You want to have, Highway Star, where people go, oh, yeah, I know what that is. And you had that with those songs. You definitely had that. Now, a couple of those are covers and a couple of them are not. But so explain.
Okay, it's actually very simple. If you look at the big box that we're selling now, the Krokus collection, those same hits are missing from there as well. The whole albums are missing. The Blitz, Change of Address, they're not on there. And the reason is, as I said before, it's that Chris is back in the band. And, so he wasn't on To Rock or Not to Be either. So, and he's been producing the band since the reunion of 2008. And he doesn't like the sound of those songs, okay, that's no excuse because I'm for playing everything. I don't care if Chris was on those, involved in those songs or not in the past. I think if the fans made those songs become hits, because that's what fans are here for. It's not we who make songs into hits. It's the fan that buys the songs, We just write them, produce them, and put them out there. And if everybody ignores them, then, who cares? But, that's the argument I tried to get over and get through to Chris, our bass player, producer, founder member of Krokus. So, I came at a later point, So it's Fern and him who do the decision, so you have to talk to them,
Okay, well, I was just thinking, if they didn't like the sound in 2017, you put out Big Rocks, which was your covers of Queen and The Who and Trogs and Animals. Yeah. Maybe just re-record them with the new band and giving them that new sort of 2017 sound. But okay.
That's what I've been saying, because I invented a word, which helps me to communicate what I'm trying to say to my own band. It's like, let's Krokusize that fucker,
I agree. I agree. I think I need to talk to Chris for you. That's what needs to happen.
You definitely have.
I need to set him straight.
Yeah, pull his ears,
I want to get back to my original point at the beginning, just real quick, because you look at Rock the Block in 2003, Switzerland #1, Hoodoo, Switzerland #1, Dirty Dynamite, Switzerland #1, Big Rock, Switzerland #1, Metal Rendezvous, like we said, 4 times platinum. What happened with the American market and the North American market? Was it a question of the songs just didn't connect? Was it a question of poor management? Did you not tour here enough? Where do you think, did MTV in the 80s not support you? Where was that disconnect?
No. Well, now it depends which album you're talking about. Metal Rendezvous is when I joined the band, and we rocketed into the charts, and the phones were ringing all over. They wanted to have us on in their countries, and later on came the USA, because a certain Mr. Mike Bone of Arista Records in New York, he heard the album, and he thought, wow, Heat Strokes and so on, we've got to have this band. And we got signed up eventually to Arista in New York, and then one thing follows another. We signed up with American management, and we were suddenly out in the USA with a new album called Hardware. So it's the duty of the record company to push the new album and not the one before. But we had those songs. We had a few songs. Heat Strokes we still have on the set list. Bedside Radio we still have on the set list. Fire, from Metal Rendezvous. That we played regularly on tour, and so that album Metal Rendezvous didn't have the chance to kind of, I don't know, turn gold in the USA, but step by step, and the next album after Hardware was called, ironically, One Vice at a Time. It's almost like saying one step at a time, and the album that followed, Headhunter, took us right up to number 24 in the US Billboard charts, which was, for us, it was like, coming from tiny Malta, minuscule little island in the Mediterranean, and then coming from Switzerland, which is still a small country compared to Austria, Germany, France, Russia, China, we were like, we felt like pigs in shit,
And by the way, being top 40 in 1983 meant something. Being top 40 now is sort of like, well, great, you got, 12 spins on Spotify, congratulations. But in 1983, it was millions of copies. It was something to behold.
Oh, yeah, amazing. And arenas were sold out. We, as I said, we were the special guests of Def Leppard. When they had my favorite Def Leppard album out, Pyromania, and it was amazing, it was like, holy moly, we experienced crowds that we never experienced before, and then came the record company, and they got our management on the side, and there was our booker there, and they started to, they were like kind of, the saliva was dripping out of their mouths when they were reading the sales figures of Def Leppard, the headliner, because they were really selling a lot of albums and lots of merchandising. So our manager too, he was drooling, wishing that Krokus would sell the same, if not now, with the next album, So that's when they broke, the camel's back, if you like, and that's when Chris left, and that's probably another reason why he doesn't want to play songs from the Blitz and Change of Address, or, because they kind of forced us into a corner and offered us in those days you had big budgets, for recording, you had tour support, you had the limos, 5-star hotels, and all the luxury, and you have to be strong not to fall into the dark side of the moon, So anyway, we were lured into trying to lose our edge, you know. And Krokus needs to have an edge, you know. But we were on tour consequently without having any time off to be able to meditate and look back and think, hey, where are we? Where are we going? You know, which way are we facing? Where did we come from? You know, all this stuff, which is important for any brain, any human brain, so you can go forwards. You know, so we ended up splitting up with Chris and going for the Blitz album, you know, which didn't do bad at all, you know. But still, you know, that was a very strange time, and a lot of bands did this same mistake, you know. We know that, and suddenly the band comes on stage wearing different kinds of clothes. I mean, we looked like old gypsies, and now we looked like I don't know, we were going to go to some carnival. You know, all these things. It's amazing, you know. But
It is.
But that's life.
I want to ask you about the Blitz real quick, just from the Canadian perspective. First of all, you're at Little Mountain Sound in Vancouver, so I want to ask you about that. But also, you've got this Bryan Adams song, "A Boys' Night Out," written, of course, with Jim Vallance. You got Bruce Fairbairn. You've got Bob Rock. You got God Rest His Soul. You've got Mike Fraser, mastered by George Marine. I mean, you look at
Metallica.
Right. I mean, this is the power production team. I mean, from George Marino to Fairbairn to Rock to Fraser, you got a Vallance song, an Adams song. You're in the studio. I mean, it's amazing. So let me ask you first of all, Little Mountain is known for the drum sound. What was that like? Because when you listen to the Blitz, it has the drum sound, right? There was a certain thing about, I guess it was the loading dock or something where they would record these drums and get that incredible live. I don't even know how to describe. You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Yeah, it's like some kind of an echo.
Yeah, it's fantastic
on the snare, and you know that slap. It's like, you know, it's like a slap, you know.
But what was it like working with that team? Because that team wasn't that team yet. You know what I mean? This is 1984. The Black Album is not out. The Dr. Feelgood's not out. The Guns N' Roses stuff is not out. This was the team before they became the team. So how was that like working with them, and what did they bring to the project? And did you notice when you were working with them, like, oh shit, yeah, these guys are there's something here? Yeah,
sure, but you know, it was a strange feeling anyway. You know, when I compare it, for example, so you maybe I'll understand what I'm trying to get at is like when we did Headhunter, we were in Orlando. We wrote all the songs in the heat, like over 45 degrees, in this big warehouse with no air conditioning. We sweated. We were just wearing shorts, and there were no swimming pools, and like, you know, and we wrote Screaming in the Night and the Headhunter and you know, the real heavy stuff. I mean, that was pretty heavy album.
Well, yeah, you had Tom Allom from Judas Priest fame, so you would and Rob Halford on one song.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. You see, and we thought we're a metal band, and we had Tom Allom there. He was there riding horses with me, and he fell off and broke his arm. And during the production in Orlando, the whole time his arm was in a sling. Poor guy. And we're still friends. He lives in Milano, you know, not far from here, really. And he commutes from England to Milano. I saw him at a Judas Priest concert 2 years ago.
Oh wow! And by the way, he would be a great interview. My God! But yeah, but there you go. So
amazing. This was. I mean, I felt better doing Headhunter than I did doing the Blitz. You know, that's what I'm getting at. You know, I mean, we were taking karate lessons there, and trying to be fit, and you know, it was a whole different thing. You know, Fernando and I got haircuts, and you know, kind of more fashionable stuff, and so from the whole team, like the people behind the desk and everything, Bruce Fairbairn was doing karate with us as well. You know, Bob Rock. You know, he was the guy who got the idea of recording screeching tires and stuff like that. You know, but the whole thing didn't have this heavy mystical aura to it, you know what I mean? Although it was fun doing, you know, and then we did American Woman.
That's a great song there too.
Yeah. Ballroom Blitz, yeah.
American Woman, which by the way, I'm looking at the set list from the Hallen Stadion. You played that, and you also played "Rocking in the Free World," the great Neil Young song. Another great Canadian connection. Yeah,
it's amazing. And Fernando was always influenced by Bachman Turner Overdrive, you know. So before I joined the band, even we even covered "Stay Awake All Night" by those guys. And later on, we did "You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet," you know. The bam, bam. Nice, heavy. I like singing with a band when the band sounds heavy and you know it's kind of yeah.
Well, all right. So we're at 46 minutes. So let me wrap this up. And if we have to, we'll do a part 2. But we've got the final tour, Adios Amigos, coming over to North America in 2020. There's a date, I believe, in Toronto. There's no Montreal for now. There's no Quebec now. There's no Ottawa. But we'll hopefully have those at some point.
Well, I did send the information across to our management, and the reply was, well, the tour is fixed, and Chris doesn't want to put any extra dates on, you know, at this point in time. But, you know, maybe come spring when the sun is shining again, and, you know, then he's going to think otherwise. And, well, let's see.
Well, you just answered. Well, you answered my question. I was going to ask you because it really is sort of a limited run. It's about 15 to 20 dates. So now, according to what you just said, Chris is not in the mindset of adding more than that. But hopefully, maybe, and I'm not necessarily mean Montreal, but maybe we'll get a few more dates, or maybe we'll stretch it into 2021 and come back, because it just seems so very limited. And I think folks want to go say goodbye. They want to say adios amigos to Krokus, you know? Yeah,
well, that's the way I feel, you know. So, but at the same time, you know, I'm ready to, you know, just come over and do it and see what happens. And then we know more. And, you know, as you said too, we could stretch it on so that we come back and say goodbye, amigos, to more states and more
places.
People,
and there's a great festival over here called M3, which this year did that. Yeah, you've done M3, right? And I think that's the perfect festival for you to come back on, and that would be a great stage to say goodbye to America on, because it's just the proper fan base, it's the proper venue, it's the proper organization. I think that would be To me, that would be terrific.
We did that in 2015, I think, and we did the Mork first, which we're doing again in February, and then we came over and started in Houston and carried on, and we did M3. That's in Maryland, right? Or Baltimore.
Yeah, it's in Columbia, Maryland, not too far from Baltimore.
Okay.
And it's the best. It's the best. I mean, the way it's organized, the way the stage is backstage, they've renovated since 2015. It's just incredible. It's an incredible experience.
Cool.
Will there be any more, by the way, and any more Krokus? I know you did the final show in Europe. Was it recorded for a DVD or a live album, or is anything going to be recorded or are you just sort of going to do these shows and sail? No. Okay.
We've recorded quite a few festivals and some backstage stuff, even some rehearsal shots, and then we'll probably do some interviews and talk about. They'll put a bit of history in there and stuff, and put it all together and have a DVD out. I don't know when, At the same time, I've been doing one separately for myself, because my history goes back further than Krokus, back to my birthplace in Malta, and I have moved to London and then came to Switzerland, and before Krokus, I was in another band, a progressive rock band called T, and in fact, that's how I met Krokus, because we took them on tour with us on the last T tour, so that's how I got to know the boys, and we smoked a joint backstage, and I listened to their incredible guitar player they had, and later on, we lost him, after I joined, because he was already a little bit addicted to the bad stuff, the drugs, and, unfortunately, and such a sweet guy too, and he's the guy who's playing the solos on Fire, on Tokyo Nights, two of the best guitar solos in the world, I think, so we have to play it by ear. There's stuff coming out, and we might even try to write the last couple of songs, and we'll see how the muse hits us, Right now it's cold and dreary, and we all want to cuddle up in front of the Christmas tree with our families and enjoy the season with a little bit of melancholy, knowing that we closed the curtain in Europe, but a new one's going to go open with the Monsters of Rock cruise, and we'll be seeing the sun again and stuff. Things will be better, and
there's a lot to reflect upon too. I mean, when you look at your career. You did your first performances in 1965, so 2020 is going to mark 55 years of you being a musician, a performing musician. That's unbelievable, right? I started actually at the age of 14. Yeah, I joined the Boys,
my first band.
The Boys and Stonehenge Union.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
55.
That's it, yeah.
So 55 years as an active musician, that's, the first T album was what, 70, 72? 71, 72?
72, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you're coming up to 50 years of your first release. I mean, there's a lot of story to tell. I mean, that's it. And by the way, on that, I'm just going to say, félicitations, congratulations, because 50 years of doing something and doing it at a high level is unbelievable.
It's my passion. If I couldn't do this, I would die. And I guess I'm living to do it. Apart from I love my family, and relatives and all that. I'm quite a family man, when it boils down to it. But I had a good upbringing down in Malta, a great place, except for the politics. But anyway, thanks a lot. I appreciate that, and I hope I can go on for a couple, at least another decade.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope so too.
Right.
Yeah. And more music. More music.
Yeah, definitely. That's music that keeps me alive. It's amazing. Yeah. And I like writing. The last song I wrote was for my daughter, Juliana, because she has an incredible voice. It's not like my voice, it's more a female, very nice, sensitive voice, and she loves singing melancholic songs. And I wrote this song for her. We're doing it together as a duet on the 20th December. We're playing with Claudio from China and another friend of ours on drums. And so I'm taking Juliana on board, and we're going to do a handful of songs together. She's going to be our guest, and she's so excited and proud. And I hope, she gets the virus, the music inside her, and carries on long after I've gone. You know what I mean? It's something I hope for. Yeah.
Well, and it's going to be nice to see. I just saw Billy Joel in New York in November, and he brought out his daughter to sing with him at Madison Square Garden. So it is, it's a touching moment, and you could see it with him playing the piano and her staring out at 18,000 people. That there's a daddy-daughter moment that you can't, it just. Singing together is just something. Anyway, on that, we are at an hour. I will say, as we say in Montreal, merci beaucoup. Thank you so much. Toujours un plaisir. Always a pleasure. And
merci beaucoup aussi.
Yeah, and we barely scratched the surface. I mean, it's been an hour, but there's so many songs, so many stories, so many albums, so many tours. Yeah. There's, what happened on the Def Leppard tour and what happened here. But we will get to it.
Oh yeah, we need to go fishing and let the tape run.
Yeah, that's what we need to do. And when you are in North America, if you're doing the DVD thing and you need somebody to sit down and interview you, I'll be happy to volunteer. Volunteer is the important word. I'll help out. Why not?
Okay, cool. I'll tell that to my director, Sepp Sutter. He's doing my biography film, for Netflix.
Wow.
And
now Netflix or Netflix Switzerland? Is it like
no
global?
Netflix. I guess it's international, isn't it? No,
it is.
I don't know.
Oh, well, that's kind of cool.
I'm not into the details and the business much, but he knows what he's doing. He's got this big studio and stuff, and he was on stage with us in the Hallenstadion, getting bits and pieces while his partners were out there with bigger cameras, getting the whole stadium in. And this is going to be something they have to puzzle together. And I'm looking forward to the first screening, whenever that is. But as I said, that first will come the Krokus thing, and mine can wait. We've got to visit Malta and do some filming there and interview people. Some of my old musician friends, and go on to London and New York and California and Canada would
Montreal,
be great too.
Montreal.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm excited. There's going to be a Netflix movie. That's kind of cool, actually. That's very cool, actually.
I think so too. And he knows all that stuff. Me, I just watch Netflix.
Yeah, you just show up. Anyway, thank you, sir. Merci. Have a pleasant rest of the evening.
Thank you. I've got my grappa beside me. Grappa, this schnapps.
Yeah.
Made from grape juice. Fantastic. I'm going to go and switch on my Netflix and carry on with my series.
There you go. Thank you, sir. Bonsoir. Good night.
Thank you. Bonsoir, Mitch.
Bonsoir.
Take care.
You too.
This has been Rock Talk with Mitch LaFon. For more exclusive content and interviews, subscribe on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, and many more. Follow Mitch on all the socials, especially Twitter, @Mitch LaFon, and on Instagram, @Mitch_LaFon. Get your Mitch merch now at loudtracks.com/Mitch.